This global cult is like it's like a holographic web. One of the great traits of holograms is that every part of the hologram is a smaller part of the whole. And this is how this cult works. It's holographic. You have a global network, and then you have subsidiary networks in each country. And those subsidiary networks have the role of imposing in their sphere of influence the agenda dictated from the center. And so in each country, these subsidiary networks have the role of controlling that country's government, any political party that has a chance of forming a government, and a lot of the rest as well. Controlling finance, crucial, the banking system, the financial system in that country, which is why the City of London is so important in terms of Britain. Controlling the major corporations, controlling the health pyramid. And so the various subsidiaries in these different countries are running the banking system in those countries in accordance with the centrally dictated agenda. And so you have organizations like the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, which was created by these families, the Rockefellers, etc., where the heads of the various central banks meet regularly to coordinate policy. And it's all centrally dictated, but you have these subsidiaries playing it out in each country. And so then you had the further expansion of this cult's power through what is called globalization. Globalization is what? The centralization of power in every area of our lives. Globalization, we gave it a name eventually, is simply the ongoing centralization of power in the banking system and these other areas of human life that this cult is generating, because it's a simple equation. If the few want more and more control over the many, they have to centralize decision making. If you look at the history of this period I'm talking about, first of all, people were in a tribal situation where the people in the tribe were making the decisions for the tribe. Then lots of the tribes were brought together under what we call nations. Now a few people at the center of the nation are dictating to all that group of tribes that form the nation. And then in the European Union, of course, there's this bringing together of countries under centralized control. Now all the former tribes of all the former nations are now dictated from Brussels by people who are simply unelected. And although Britain is supposed to have left the European Union, it's still welded to so much of its dictating of the way things operate. And so the next stage, which is where it's been heading all along, I've been writing about this for 30 years, is to create a world government, a world central bank, which would dictate all global finance, a world currency. I've been writing about this, mate, since 1992-93. That the idea was to create a single global currency and bring an end to cash. And there's another equation in this, which is that the more you centralize power, the more power you have at the center to centralize even quicker. So it gets faster and faster and faster and faster. What has been happening in the background, in the shadows, in the peripheral vision, this manipulation, has gone on public display. And so what we've seen is more and more power in these various expressions of the economy being handed to fewer and fewer people, so they can not only dictate what goes on, they can stop any other genuinely capitalist competition from actually competing with them. What I've been saying and writing now for decades is the plan for what I call the Hunger Games Society. And the Hunger Games Society, I thought it something else before, but after the Hunger Games movie trilogy that came along, I called it the Hunger Games Society because those movies portrayed what this Hunger Games Society I'm talking about plans to be, which is a tiny few people dictating to everyone else via control of finance and via dependency by the population on the few for the very basics of survival. And I've been writing again for a very, very long time that the plan is and has been to destroy independent income and independent business and force the population to live on what I said was going to be called a guaranteed income, which would be a pittance, and you'd only get it if you do what the government wants you to do. Now, that sounded fantastic. When I first started talking about it, I set on a journey from an understanding that the forces that appeared to be controlling the world, like governments and prime ministers and presidents, actually weren't. The real power was in the shadows where you never saw it. So I went on this journey of uncovering it, and to uncover not only that the power is in the unseen, but what that power is seeking to do in terms of where it wants to take humanity. Now, because you're dealing with psychopaths who have no empathy and no limits, where they want to take humanity is truly, truly horrific. And I saw this from the early 1990s. And if you're a father, if you're a grandfather, and if you're a human being that just cares about freedom and justice and fairness, and you look at little kids, and you see that what those kids, or the world, the society that those kids are going to live in virtually all their lives, if we don't head this off, which I could see. I mean, at the time, of course, people were laughing at it's all a load of rubbish, that Icke. But I knew it was true. And that's why I kept going, despite all the ridicule and all the abuse, because I knew where it was going. And so I looked at these kids, and I looked at my own children, and I saw the world that was planned for them. And, if you have a smear of decency, then what you do then is you give the rest of your life to trying to head it off and to alert people to it, so that they can put an end to it.